What is going on, you guys? It is pickleball times. You guys can join me. You guys are free and welcome to join me. Okay, so I'm actually making this video. I'm going to be really quick because I got a couple of guys that said to me, how can you still love your relatives and how can you still care about, even people in general, when most of the people that are supposed to love you are the ones that cause the greatest pain. And so this is my friendly reminder, you guys. This is a piece of tire from a car. I talked about this in the video before. This is what I got beat with growing up as a child. And this is a piece of electrical wire. This is what I got beat with growing up. And if you're from the Caribbean, then you kind of know what it's like. If you've actually been through this. Not everybody from the Caribbean been through this, but unfortunately for me, this was my life, and this all was for me growing up. Now, I want to say something, that I think is vitally important, and a lot of people, believe that if you've gone through hardship in your life, if you've been through difficulties, if you've been hurt, if you've got a lot of bad things happen to you, then it's only fair for you to do these things to other people. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people, in my opinion, go through life and they never really forgive. They go through life with so much what I call unnecessary heartache and pain, because they're holding on to the trauma, that they went through growing up. And for me, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you guys that it was easy for me. It was hard. It is still hard sometimes when I think about it, but I made a decision that I'm not gonna allow my past, to dictate the kind of future that I'm gonna have. I chose to be happy. I chose to love on people, because if I'm in a position to love people, if I'm in a position to help people, if I'm in a position to do good to people, then that's what I want to do, and that helps me to grow, that helps me to evolve, that helps me to show kindness to people, even to those who sometimes, I gotta tell you guys, it's hard. Because there's some people out there that they're not lovable, and I guarantee you there's a point in my life when I wasn't lovable at all, because I went through a stage in my life where I was just rebelling. I was angry. I was dealing with, my, family neglecting me, my father, being abusive to me, my mother wished that she had unalived me at birth, sisters and brothers, and, like the worst of the worst of the worst, I've had it done to me, but I found out that, what, in order for me to kind of heal, in order for me to love the people that sometimes I feel like don't deserve to be loved, and I'm sure you guys know a few people like that, that they've caused you pain, and some people have actually cut people off completely out of their life. I won't say I cut off my relatives completely out of my life, but I keep them at a distance. It's kind of like, some people, you just gotta love them from a distance. You can't be around them, you can't be in a relationship with them, especially when they are the same way, especially when they believe they didn't do anything wrong. And that was the hardest thing for me to deal with. When I look at my mother and she's just going through life and she just believed that she didn't do nothing wrong. She was the perfect mother, and that for me was really, really challenging, and that actually kind of set me back years, of struggling a lot more, longer and harder than, it really should have been, but the moment I realized that, what, I'm in control of my actions. I'm in control of the here and now. I'm in control of what I do going forward. Then I realize also that the things that I do and say, how I treat other people, it's going to impact the kind of relationship that I'm going to have with other people. And so I chose for it to be positive. I chose to love on people, and I chose to be an example, of what I never had growing up, because my father, was the worst example. My mother was the worst example. My siblings were the worst examples. I didn't have nothing positive except for one uncle. He was a Christian, okay? That was the only positive example I had growing up, and I didn't spend a lot of time around him, but the little bit of time that I was around him, it was good. It was really, really good. So if you guys have been through, half the things that I've been through, or even worse, you gotta forgive. You gotta forgive. I know it's hard. I know, some people might say, well, it's easy for you to say because you don't know what I went through. Guys, I just tell you a small little percentage of what I went through. There's still a dent in my skull right now. I was in the hospital in a coma. There's still a dent in my skull from falling 2 stories trying to get it from my dad. And my dad jokingly said, well, he thought I was DEAD, and he was laughing about it like it was something funny. So, yeah. So how can I forgive people, and how can I live with love in my heart, and how can I mean, try to have a positive attitude? And you know, it's only by the grace of God. You know, God allows me, I believe, a second chance in life. God allows me this moment, and I don't want to waste it. I don't want to get to the end of my life saying coulda, woulda, shoulda, should have done this. You know, it's kind of like I have this moment right now, and I want to use this moment right now for good. You know, I don't want to hold on to covetousness and grudgefulness, and envy and bitterness and hatred and anger and resentfulness, and I don't want to hold on to none of that stuff, because none of the stuff, you know, is going to impact my life in a positive way. In fact, it's going to be the opposite. There's a lot of people right now who are getting sick, and a lot of it has to do with dealing with unforgiveness. Because when you're stressing out yourself, when you know, don't allow yourself to forgive other people, you have to live with that trauma every day. It stresses you out. That's why a lot of people turn to drinking and alcohol and drugs and stuff like that, you know, because they're trying to cope. It's kind of like a cope mechanicism, right? You know, they're trying to deal with, you know, I mean, that trauma that they went through, and they're trying to figure out, you know, a way in which they can cope with it, and they turn to these things. I choose to do the opposite. Like, it's kind of like everything that my parents did, you know, to me, I choose to do the opposite. And I gotta tell you guys, it wasn't easy, you know, because like I said, there was a time in my life when I was just rebelling. I went through pretty much every detention center in Canada, every jail. You know, there was a few years when I was just like, I have no direction, you know, and where I was going in my life, you know. And so while I was going through that, though, you know, I've always prayed. God always helped me. Got to a point where, you know, God really opened my eyes and showed me that, you know, this is not my life, and this is not going to be the end results of my life. And He's got greater things for me, you know. And so I kind of want to use my life to encourage other people, to love on people, you know. And that's one of the reasons why I changed my channel name from, you know, Life's Daily Journey to, you know, I mean, Show Love Reaction, you know, because there's something about showing other people love and seeing their reaction that just put joy and peace in your heart. If I tell you guys the amount of people that I was able to help, if I tell you the guys the amount of people that I talked to, and they broke down crying, like crying, like bawling, tears, because they can't seem to understand how was I able to still be the person that I am today after all that I went through. How was I able to still love on people and trust people and allow people to love me, and allow people and not thinking they're gonna hurt me, because you know the people that's supposed to love me are the ones that caused me the greatest pain. So love for me was for years like I don't want no part of it. But I'm here now, so this is just a friendly reminder, you know. But you know, I used it, you know. Sometimes I'm going to be using more in my videos when I want to demonstrate and show people, because a lot of people, you might say things to them they don't understand. Just imagine somebody using this and with all, and my dad was like, I mean, what, 6'1". My dad was like 230 pounds. My dad was a big guy, you know, and with all his strength and somebody using that, and you're a child, not a grown man. This would have been horrible for somebody to do this to me now as a grown man. Just imagine you being a child. But, you know, coulda, woulda, shoulda. I'm here now. So you know what? I want to make the best of my life. I don't want to look back at my life and past and worry about, I mean, you know, I'm here now. So I just want to focus on now and going forward. How can I be a better person today so that I can impact other people, you know, in a positive way? How can I use my life and impact people, you know, and help them to change their life, help them to, you know, to look at look on the brighter side of life, per se. You understand? And that's kind of what brings me joy, you know. And that's one of the reasons why I go out and I bless people and I help people and I, you know, give people, you know what I mean, money and pay for stuff and do stuff, because to me, I'm also, it gives me joy in my heart. It also helps me, I guess it helps me to heal. Somebody kind of mentioned that to me. I don't understand, but they said I'm still going through a healing process, and I guess maybe they're right. I don't know. So anyways, guys, so I'm gonna run, gotta go play pickleball. So yeah, so appreciate you guys for watching the videos, and like I said, you know, if you really want to help me to help other people, just, you know, give the video a thumbs up. I appreciate that, you know, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate that as well, because you know, I'm gonna go one day at a time, one step at a time, and I'm gonna go and use my life, you know, and use it for God, you know, and helping other people, you know. And most importantly, guys, you know, I want to be an example of Christ. That's ultimately, you know, what I want to do. You know, Christ saved me for a reason, and I want to use it every day, every moment that I have in this life to really glorify God and draw people, you know, unto Christ. As Mark 16:15 said, first to go into all the world and preach the gospel. And so that's what I want to be doing. But I want to use my life, you know, as a way to help people to understand and see that, hey, life was bad, but it can be better. You know, life can be tough, but it can be better. Things seems dark and really dim right now, but it can get better. You know, always remember there's a brighter day. There's a brighter day. There's a brighter day ahead. You know, and focus on the brighter day ahead. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Always go out, love one another, get to know God, be a trust in Him, and live according to His will. And last but not least, go out and show love. Just like money is accepted everywhere. Until the next video, peace.